Hi class, Steve Cady here, and we're going to walk through some best practices from a few students in the class. A lot of you did great work. A lot of the students in this class did super work, and I'm going to highlight just a few of them and walk in detail through each one and hopefully give you some more information to help you as you work on the next discussion board. And a couple things, as you look here at the instructions, you always have you have an instructional video to give you an overview. You have a link to a document that goes into details and answers a lot of questions and explains the rubric and the grading process and the expectations and some general questions. You see here we're talking about key terms and bolding key terms. I want to emphasize the importance, even in the STA, where you have links in this discussion board, where you have a link here and you have a link on NACI, and you got a video here, and you've got other information throughout the STA module where you can take key terms that relate to management and organizations and demonstrate your knowledge of how to use those key terms. Why is that important? You want to separate yourself. And people who are working at the highest levels, they understand and they study leadership and management in organizations and communities and human development. They study how to build great places for people to work and live and collaborate and engage and accomplish things together. They want people on their team that has the ability to step up and to lead, to manage, to be trusted with particular tasks, and to be included in the decision making in ways that helps them to make sure that things are moving forward. Those people study the best leaders. They read about management, they read about organizations and all the different techniques and tactics that are necessary to succeed. They take workshops and they're continuously learning, continuously. Those are the people who succeed, and they will hear as you answer questions, as you talk with them, when you're using the terms that have been used for the last 100 years in management and leadership and been written about and so forth. They will hear your use of terminology in a way that will tell them that you have done your homework, that you have been preparing yourself to take on more responsibility and to do more important work and do more important things and have more important responsibilities, so that you can choose where you want to work, when you want to work, with whom you want to work, making a good living that you want. And so the ability to articulate and properly use terms is important. And also, you're gonna see the key terms. You're gonna have to pick them out yourself. You're gonna have to decide which ones are the most important and relevant to your career path and your profession. But it's important that you are using those key terms and bolding them so that you're demonstrating your knowledge of using them in this class. Second thing is this discussion board post is a two-part. It's a mini paper, and then it's a detailed, not detailed, it's an engaging conversation with the other students. And the reason for the mini paper is that communicating in writing sets you up for communicating in conversation. Second, communicating in writing with remote work and everything that we're going to and what we're doing in the world and what we have been and going towards with technology requires that you are really good at writing and that you're good at communicating your thoughts in ways that people can understand them. You may have a great idea, but if someone can't understand it, the idea, it doesn't matter how good the idea is. If you have a great comment or a suggestion and it's communicated well, it can be accessible to others. And then it demonstrates your ability to communicate, which is one of those NACI, National Association of Colleges and Employers, one of their competencies that employers are looking for. So this mini paper could have been a separate assignment, but the way I do the discussion board is I try to put it in one place to make it an efficient experience for you. So you submit mini papers. You all become a think tank in your learning group, and you begin to see other people's work, and it helps you to learn ways that you can better communicate, and you give each other feedback and you begin to help each other. That is the key to making this an engaging and a worthwhile experience. So the mini paper sets you up, and it's repetitive in the sense that you're going to have these questions at the beginning. These questions at the beginning that use the STAR approach, the behavioral interview approach. That is key to your ability to articulate to others how you can handle a situation and demonstrate what is great about you. So you need some practice with that. So that's why we do some of this stuff over and over again. And yet within the questions, they're different, right? So there's a different question. Like in the behavioral interview, you're going to get a different one each time, and you are going to get 2 or more of those questions without a doubt. And many students oftentimes mention they get it pretty much right away. Like I just got one and I was ready to answer the question and I was so spot on that I can tell that I set myself apart. So the mini paper has so many different benefits for you. And the reason it's built into the discussion board the way I do it is to set you up to help each other, to get it in an efficient process in one place, and then you move. So it's a little bit different sometimes. It's a little bit different than maybe what you've seen in other discussion boards, because the mini paper that you're submitting first to your group is an important one that I really look at carefully along with your discussion. So let's walk through some great people. And who are the great people? I just want to re-acknowledge these folks here. You know, from Tracy to her post is a 2-part post where she actually submitted and attached it. There's Justin, who included it within his the submission window within Canvas. There's Lucas, and Lucas attached his. So there's different ways to do it, and I'm just showing you different ways. There's Joshua, and Aaron, and Kyle, and Andrew. So I wanna say that I am super proud of the work that everybody did, and I want to walk through now and give you some more detail. And it's recorded, so you can kind of fast forward through, look at different things. You can come back and re-listen to, and so forth to help you do well. So the first thing here, Tracy. What I love is this opening. Ever wonder what it's like to have a full-time job, be a mother, along with being a part-time college student? Even though I bet most of you have multiple things going on in your lives right now too, or not. Let me see, how did you say that? Ever wonder what it's like to have a full-time job, be a mother, along with being a part-time college student? Even though I bet most of you have multiple things in your lives right now too. Wanted to read that properly, Tracy, the way you intended that. Click the attachment below to read my take on it. Thanks. I can't wait to read what others have posted. So what I love about this, when I read it, the first thing was it was inviting, and it brought me right in. And I like the engaging way in which you start off. And then you brought us and directed us to read your post here. So we go in to read your post. I want to just say first, when I go through the criteria, it's complete, professional, thoughtful, and then good conversation. And I'm not going to get into whether or not I agree with some of your answers. Like you might have taken a certain tactic or an approach or made a certain decision. As long as you are answering all the questions and then you are professionally writing up your document so that it is something that you could present to a future employer, and they could say, give me an example of your writing. And you could hand this to them and say, this is an example. And they'd read it and go, yep, this is someone who writes professionally, that knows how to write, and we want to hire this person. Last but not least is this notion of thoughtful in your post. Thoughtful has to do with, did you answer the questions, explain your thinking, use critical thinking, and did you bring in the key terms that I mentioned earlier? Bring those key terms in and use them and demonstrate your nimbleness with the concepts. Because again, what will separate you is your ability to communicate to those leaders that you understand leadership and management in such a way that you can use the terminology, because they are going to want to hire a person who they can depend on, who they can look to, that understands how organizations work. And remember, those leaders are lifelong learners themselves. They're taking workshops, they're taking classes. They understand the science of good organization and community and human development and management and leadership and all of those things that go in to making organizations work, teams work, and how people work. So it's important that you're able to communicate the terminology, because it sets you apart. And if you can use it appropriately in your sentences, in your communication, you're making your ideas accessible to them. So this paper becomes your talking points, and it helps you to really get it straight and get concise and focused. So, Tracy, love the opening and how you brought yourself and your personal signature into the introduction, how you identified some key terms already right off the bat in the introduction, and I got to know you, and I got to have a sense of who you are as a person. And then as this moves into your behavioral interview question, you follow the instructions. You set us up with an opening. You went into each and you highlighted each of the elements. I appreciate how you indented each one of these, and that is great. And it's minor. I would probably take the mini conclusion and bring it out a little bit. But I just like how you did. You got your introduction, you have a mini conclusion, and then you have your STAR in the center. And I like how you formatted and bringing it in. That's all key. So I'm giving you lots of little teeny details, of feedback. And again, you used a really good example. Describe the situation when you go into the task. And I'm engaged. I'm like, oh my God, what? I want to know more about what just happened, right? And so I'm looking at what happened, and then I'm like, how did it work out? I'm interested. I'm curious now about the results. And then, I think we step back and reflect. Overall, I'm proud of my accomplishments and that multiple engineers felt I had the knowledge and abilities to continue to take on more and more responsibility. Since my time employed there, I've been able to learn to work as a team, problem solve, improve written, verbal communications to what they are today. These I feel should help me with whatever I need to accomplish. The only other thing that I would ask that you might want to think about in this answer is that you explicitly show where the NACE competencies are applying and just kind of relate it back to some of them, and directly saying from there. So mention the NACE and mention how it's related to that. I think you were doing it by bringing in bolding key terms, and I can see that where you're doing it. So my ask would be that you be a little bit more explicit in where you're doing that, because you might be pulling terms from the contents in the chapters and the NACE as well, and you might even creatively show how those are connected. So again, really nice work on that. As it goes forward, you can see I'm gonna not go into detail here. I'm gonna pick detail in each one of them because I have several to go through. But you can see how well it's laid out, formatted, the bolding of the key terms, and when you read, you can see that the questions are answered and the sub questions are answered, and really getting at the key pieces around, like for example, the question, getting at a little higher level in Bloom's taxonomy, providing the answer, giving the answer and where to find it, explaining the answer, where to find it. The leader interview. I'm super glad and appreciative that you're taking it so seriously, and it's obvious by how you're answering this question that you're going to leverage this informational interview to help you to learn more, to develop, and to build your network, and potentially find a mentor not find a mentor, but develop or build your mentor network as well. And I think your conclusion is good in that you reflected on what did you get from the whole experience above. So again, Tracy, thanks for doing such a good job and taking this seriously as you take your professional life and your career and your juggling. I got a 6-year-old, I got a 13-year-old, and I got a 15-year-old. My wife works as a nurse. I'm working with classes, and I'm outside of my place in my room here. I'm hearing kids because we have a family visiting, and so we have a bunch of kids running around out there, and they're all waiting for me to get with them and have some fun. So I'm super appreciative of families, of parents, of people who are committed to doing their best work in the world like you are. Making a contribution while also taking really good care of those that are in your family and in your life. And you're a role model for that, Tracy, so thank you. And let's move to the next person, Justin. So, hello class, my name is Justin Decker. I'm in my second to last semester here at BGSU. It has been a long road for me as I started college back in 2007. Well, and Justin, you deserve a high five for sticking with your goals and learning from life and using all of that to pursue what really matters, and we all come to our own conclusions on our own timing as long as we're committed to that. So I can't emphasize how much your journey has informed you and helped you be ready for what's next. Uh, so I can't wait to be done. However, I'm already looking to see which graduate degree would be best for me to pursue. I hate that it took me this long to get motivated to go to school, but it's better late than never. I'm excited to see what this class has to offer. And whenever you are ready for what's next and you're motivated and you're learning, I truly believe that your life's journey has set you up for that next thing. Whatever curveball we have, whatever failure we have, whatever challenge or success we have, whatever incident we have in our lives, whatever moments and curves and twists, they are all doing their best to help set us up for what's next and prepare us to do something really great at the next step. And so I think looking at your journey as informing and preparing you for something really important, special for you to do is key. I'd also say check out the MOD, Master of Organization Development degree at BGSU. It is one of the oldest and best in the world, and it focuses on developing people who can transform organizations, revitalize communities, develop human potential, people who are change agents in the world, and we are looking for those more than you can imagine now. I'd consider looking at that degree. It's one of the best in the world, and it was the first of its kind in the world, started in 1975. The career paths are exciting and a lot of fun. So we go through, and as I scroll through here, I'm just going to, again, I'm not going to get into the detail on all of them, but I just want everybody who's watching to have a chance to see, the thoughtfulness that went into this. You can see how serious, Justin, you are about answering the questions. I think your reflection on this is great. And what I want to also talk about is, how you went through in your discussion, which I didn't talk within Tracy's, but in discussion, you did a really nice job reflecting on people's contributions and really honoring the work that your group did, like Victoria, and taking the time to really give her your reflection on her post. That honors a person in ways, and I'm sure Victoria really appreciated you taking the time to reflect on that. And the same with Adam, and how you gave him a link here to look at, and you added some content, and you were like helping. So not only are you reflecting, you're also giving encouragement, and you're also providing additional information. You're creating this think tank experience within your group, and I so much appreciate that. And and you are that kind of person who's a glue in the groups that you're in. And I think you're the one who gets people engaged, make sure information is flowing, and you are also got this part of you that is in service of others in terms of them being their best self, which in turn, when you have a team, a group, a unit, whatever it might be, that will help you all better serve, save lives, save time and money, avoid mistakes, but also to grow, to accomplish, and to do great work as a group and as individuals. And so I think that your level of thoughtfulness in the responses that you gave to people, and it really speaks a lot to how you honor others. And servant leadership, I would encourage you, Justin, go take a look at some of the servant leadership literature, and we will have the leadership module coming up, which is a really good one. I think you'll learn some things and see a lot of yourself in many of the great qualities that we look for, and the science says are the great traits of leaders. So I like that you had a conversation, you reflected on others, and you really took the time to have a good engagement with your learning group. So thank you, Justin, for doing good work. Next person, we've got Lucas. And Lucas, thank you also for doing excellent work. And you posted here your document and attached it as a document here. So as we go through, we can see first how you set it up. And I like how you set it up with really, you didn't have to number, so you can number the sections, and it's helpful. So that'd be like a little suggestion. And you can do it in a way that would not take away from how nicely you formatted things. But you got a main question and sub question. So again, I'm looking at right now the complete category and the professional category around laying your post out to be easy for the reader, because the introduction is at a higher level of hierarchy. So the reason that STA is centered, that's level 1 header. Then this is level 2 header. And you might say the introduction is a level 2 header, and behavioral interview question is a level 2 header. And then the mini intro is a level 3. And so you want to make sure you set off a level 3 from a level 2. And that's important for you all as you're doing reports and doing things. Think about level 1, level 2, level 3. Think about the size of the font. Think about the placement of the font, and think about doing it as a helpful cue or roadmap for the reader to know where they are in your question. And I like, how you here bolded some key terms. I wanted to say one thing. I was looking here for where you also, I'm like similarly, I want to make sure that you all are mentioning the NACI and that you're bringing it in. One of the other posts did that. I'll highlight where they did that. And I want you to make sure that you're getting clear about how you are demonstrating those NACI skills along with your core content skills, and you're bringing in content from the chapter, right? So because you all have different professions, so you want to couch all these questions using within the field and within the profession that you're working, utilizing great leadership, management, and organizational behavior terminology, and drawing from the NACI employer colleges and employers survey and those qualities, those competencies that they're looking for. I think going through here, you can see that you are a good writer, that you are answering the questions, that you are following the instructions, which I appreciate. In general, I think you did a really nice job here on this. And again, I have a couple of those suggestions around the formatting and so forth I would suggest there. But overall, I'm really impressed with the overall work that you did here on this. And I won't go into your discussion because I did a deep dive into that for someone else. I'll go to the next person. So Joshua, hey Joshua, that's a cute little guy you got next to you, man. And I think I should say, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, I can't tell. So there's no greater job on the planet than being a father. And I honor you for that and your work. And I read, as I read through here, if I remember correctly, you both were deployed, at the same time. I know that's hard. I am a safer human being in our country because of you and your work. At the same time, I know that you have sacrificed a great deal, and my heart goes out to you for that. So I'm grateful for the service that you've done, and my heart hurts a little bit when I think about you having to be away from your son. That's right, it's your son. That's right. So now I remember. That's why I said that, because you can't tell from the picture, but I remember when I was reading this. And if I may offer, because I've been around the block a few times, I think that this child is so loved by you and your in-laws and family and so well taken care of that the unique experience that your child is having is going to inform him as he becomes a great, healthy, grounded, positive human being in our world. And so I honor you for making sure that the conditions are there even when you have to serve and you both have to go away. You created and took care of ensuring he had the conditions and the things he needed in order to be there, be successful, and to be well taken care of. And why does that matter in me reviewing your posts? Well, when we do online learning and when we have these classes and you get into your think tank, you taking the time to share a piece of your life the way you did here, it is a role model for others. There are students that are in the class that have not jumped out into, quote, the real working world just yet, professional world just yet. And so as they read this, they are learning from your model. They're learning from you as a human being. At the same time, in you sharing this, you're creating a space within your learning group where you all can truly take the next 6 weeks and support and encourage each other in very meaningful ways. And you're also demonstrating your willingness to be humble. Look up the concept of humble leadership. Look up Edgar Schein's work on humility, and look at the notion of vulnerability. Because to be vulnerable in moments means to share, to speak your truth, to bring your life into things as appropriate. And in doing all of those things, what you do is you create conditions for others to trust you. And as a leader, as a manager, as a team member, when you share these pieces of yourself with others as appropriate, right? There's times when it's to be shared and times when it's not. You're getting work done, or you're having an opportunity to have a more in-depth conversation. Knowing when and where and how, which you did right here, which was this is the best and a great place to do that. You set the stage for people to connect with you at a deeper level, and for you to be able to influence others in a more positive way. And for them to be open to your leadership, your wisdom, your expertise. So thank you. And again, I honor you and your wife and your family for all that you all are doing for me and my family. So thank you. Coming down here, this is where I like that you mentioned the NACCE competencies. I mentioned that in the previous person I reviewed. And I'd like you to take a little bit more time to talk about the NACCE competencies in your introduction as you come into this. And I think your example is a super example, and it sets you up. And I would encourage you to kind of bold some key terms from NACCE throughout to help set the stage. I know you got it down here in the conclusion, but I'd like you to get more clear about some of them in there and find ways, but I think you did a good job. So I'm just giving you little kind of detailed feedback. I really like your thoughtfulness and your dream job answer. And there's no doubt in my mind that as you become a master sergeant, that people are going to feel very fortunate to have you as their leader. And I think being intentional about your career progression is key to your success as well. Being thoughtful and intentional about where we are, noticing where we are, getting feedback, and then thinking about what's next is really important. I think being willing to look at your past and learn from it as you go forward. I think that you are I like that you appreciate the inspirational videos. I tell you, there's one I got to share with you. The one, maybe even remind me to share it with the class. I can't remember where if I have it in my queue because I just listened to it. I listen to them in the morning when I work out and stuff. But I will tell you, there's one by Steve Harvey that surprised the heck out of me. That's amazingly inspiring. And there's another one that I'm trying to remember right now. But just remind me to share those two that I had recently watched, so that I can remember to share them with the class. And then you come into your group request, and I think again, you're a good writer. You are an excellent communicator. I love your use of words. I love how you elaborate and explain things. And again, I would encourage you to bold key terms more. That's one thing that I would encourage you to do. And elaborate a little bit more here, like in the exam question, and make sure that you even try to take to the next level on the Bloom's taxonomy if you can get to that 3 or higher. It's hard to do it in the STA. You can do it more so in the next ones, but I still think you all can do that in STAs, is have that level 3 or higher. And just you have to be creative in creating those questions. The leadership interview, I am really excited for you to pick and to be able to interview someone that I think can be a part of that court of mentors. Think of it as a board of advisors. As you begin to, and as all of you begin to do the leadership interview, think about your board of advisors, and what you want to do is select people who have different skills. There are some people who are good at getting stuff done, some people that are great at finances, some that are great at raising kids and being parents and fathers and mothers and so forth. Some that are really effective at maybe at technology or something along those lines, or whatever it might be. But you got to think about, like, what are the different things that you need on a court of mentors, and pick a diverse court of mentors and begin to build them out and meet with them regularly. And that can be like once every other month, different ones. And so you're like once a month, you're meeting with a different person and just talking to them about life, what you're doing professionally, personally, how it's fitting together. I'm not a big believer in this notion of separating personal and professional, in the sense that you can totally separate them. They have to complement each other. And they're the only way to be successful is to make sure one fits well with the other. And so a court of mentors will help you with that, as well as how to navigate the challenges and the key decisions, and to build your career. And so the leadership information interview is a part of building that mentoring group. I like your conclusion. After reviewing and answering all of the questions above, I realized first that my biggest accomplishment was actually bigger than I first realized. That's awesome. That's a great value add from doing that, doing the mini paper here as the first part. I'm not one to brag about myself, but what my team and I were able to accomplish in that short period of time was something special. I also felt that I learned more about myself and realized my dream job is not as far away as I first imagined. When sitting down and writing out my dream job, what my dream job was, I felt it was more of a 5-year goal, when in reality, it's easily attainable in 1 to 2 years. That is awesome, and I actually encourage and believe that for you. And I'm finding that I'm liking this class more and more, and I'm excited what the following weeks bring. So good. Thank you, Aaron. And your posts and reflecting on other people and really taking the time again to honor them, to have a good interactive conversation with others as well, to provide information back and forth, and to really build a learning community where you all are helping each other. You're crowdsourcing within your group, and supporting each other as you go to the next level. So use this group over the next 6 weeks as a nice place within which to get yourself to the next level as you go into the next half of this year. And I encourage you all with that. So the next person is Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Thanks for doing a really nice job here. And I think I like how you brought, again, yourself into this, and your sense of humor. I like that you really bolded key terms, and the way you used it, I think this is a unique way in which to lay out your story, which I appreciate how you did that. And again, I think with the NACI attributes, I appreciate you highlighting them. And what I would do is I actually have bolded that, and I would have connected it. I think as you go through, you are bolding key terms. It looks good. The year in review, reaction to the course, group discussion. What I encourage you to do is use a little bit of indenting to help separate the headers and the subheaders, like I had mentioned earlier with someone else. That's just a very small one, but I do think you can actually do it as a doc, submit it as a PDF, which is what I recommend sometimes, but you can also do it here. Just think about when you cut and paste in how you can lay it out. Again, small issue, because I think you did a super job. And like you said here, and I appreciate this, I think you're taking the class very seriously. I can tell by how you have been attending, getting started early on everything, and really using the class to support you in going after your dream. So there is no doubt in my mind that you're on the path to doing great things in the world, and you already are. And I know you have even higher goals, and there is no doubt that you're going to achieve all of the goals. And I suspect, Aaron, that you are going to have achieved goals that you didn't realize were there, in a good way. I think you know how sometimes things happen and the world gets bigger. Opportunities that you never thought of before become manifest. I believe that you're going to be surprised by your journey in a very positive way. And I appreciate that to hear when you said, I poured my heart into this post, learned a lot about myself in the course. It was extremely interesting to see all the aspects about job interviews and what the hiring authorities are looking for. I believe I made a valiant effort to set aside the necessary time to take on the coursework without forcing it to the last minute. And thank you. Like I said, you have been attentive. You are staying active. You are planning ahead, and you are planning your work ahead, which I really appreciate very much, and feel that it helped me get through some of the demons that had been haunting me in the past when it comes to college work. I'm excited for weeks 2 and the test. So, and I like here that you have your references here. Not everybody does that, but I would encourage all of you to to add references in at the end as appropriate. And I'm going to really start emphasizing that even more with people, because I want to make sure that you all are following a good procedure and so forth within the writing. So again, Aaron, thank you for that. Again, you're honoring others, your leadership, your thoughtfulness, your engagement. You engage with your team. You are a really great team learning group member with your group, and you took the time. You really went above and beyond and facilitating conversation in your group. So thank you for all that you have done, Aaron. I appreciate it. Next person. And I know that you all are, this is a lot, but I wanted to just really take the time to honor a lot of good work and help you all see what you need. And again, it's recorded. So I really appreciate here this thoughtfulness that went into setting up and getting us to come into. Uh, and I don't know, I again think that, not that I don't know, I'm kind of searching for a word here to say your vulnerability, your willingness to share, your willingness to bring forward your personal experience creates trust with others, and it also helps you to reflect. And I can see how, when I'm looking at the conclusion, how this reflection really serves you. And so taking the time to pause. I don't know if you journal, you might journal. I think journaling is a wonderful way to notice. Go look up the theory of Gestalt, Gestalt. Gestalt approaches to psychology and human growth and development. And I think you'll see that a lot of what you are able to do when you sit back and you are noticing uh, and reflecting will serve you well. And having a technique like Gestalt to help you spend time noticing, and there's a technique in there about what you are paying attention to, what you're focusing on, and all the other things surrounding it, and how we notice, and so forth. I think with your depth that you bring to your thinking is um, it's good for you to have a technique to process that. And I really appreciate your stepping us right now. And in addition, the opening just was like grabbing you. It grabbed me, boom, and it brings me right in. So now we come into your questions, and I think that you did a nice job overall. Again, I would look at the formatting, and that my only ask would be that you just look a little bit at the formatting. But I think overall, you signaled where we were, and you took the time. But again, you can see here a little bit, a couple little spots. Not a big deal. However, I do want you to be able to want to give this to somebody or show it to them. So I think you're complete. You're answering a lot of the questions and doing a nice job there. I think it's professionally done and with a few little tips there. Um, you answered all the questions. Like, I appreciate this here. What I would encourage you to do is take your exam questions to the next level in terms of level 3 or higher as you go to the next module set. Your leader interview, I'm going to be very curious about your interview, and I like your focus here. Information interview's main purpose, and I appreciate you identifying those key things. And here, the qualities here, number 7.4, the qualities that I'm looking for in a person I will select is to interview is charisma and transparency. And I think that goes right back to your approach to life as well. I'm looking for these qualities in who I interview because I wouldn't want to be not interested. Now, what I would encourage you to do, like with that sentence there, so it's not interested. I would want to be interested in the interview with someone who has a lot of charisma and transparency, and ensure that the experience is organic and that you can learn from it. And I like the conclusion. Presently, I take my life day by day and try to keep a positive, humorous view on things to keep me above all the inconvenience and negativity that is thrown or may be thrown my way. The main points I learned from answering these questions were how to use and incorporate the STAR into an interview and other helpful interview tips and tools such as different interview types and what they consist of. I am better off from answering these questions by the questions provoking critical thinking practices on different aspects of my life. This was a great introductory assignment that helps familiarize me with the structure of future assignments. And so I want to also encourage you to read out loud some of your paragraphs, read out loud some of your sentences, and for all of you, and so I picked little things for everybody. These I could have just stayed with one post and really looked at it. Read out loud and to see how well it works. You heard me do that on the previous one too. The conversation with your group, you did a nice job of reflecting on, having conversation, promoting conversation in your group, and really building a foundation within your discussion group. And so overall, again, nice work, and I'm really appreciative of your thoughtfulness, your transparency that you bring to this, and your charisma that you brought into the opening here. So let me go to one more, and we have Andrew. Hi, Andrew. And Andrew, thank you for doing good work. And you are enacted here. It says here that you live in Waynesville with my wife, 2 biological kids and 2 foster kids. That's awesome. Me and my wife, we have 3 kids and are looking at potentially fostering and adopting another child. And so we're exploring that and have been talking about it for years. So I'd welcome learning from you on that and what you know. I'd welcome that on as a side conversation. And thank you for your service, as many in our class are serving in a variety of different ways. And so thank you for that. And as we come into the questions, I appreciate to hear how you really looked at NACCE companies. Make sure you bold that and kind of highlight the key terms. The formatting is nice. It's laid out. It's easy to follow. I like how you use the indenting, how you used your bolding and italics here to set things out, and how well you write. I think you're a very good, nice, and direct writer. I like that. And you follow the instructions very well, and you interpret the instructions in a way so like you may not know exactly how something is, but you interpret it and you make a choice and you answer the question, and I appreciate that. And I like your logical thinking and the way you lay things out. I'm going to read your conclusion as I like to do. From this discussion post, I have learned several things pertaining to interviews and preparing for future career opportunities. I have learned about behavioral interviews and how to answer those questions using the STAR method, traits that employers look for when reviewing resumes and interviewing, how to develop test questions at different levels, and the importance of conducting informational interviews when trying to get network and explore career opportunities. This assignment has made me think about some of my achievements and how I would answer questions during an interview, and I do believe that I'm better prepared for interviews in the future. And I like that. My ask, again, is I want to know a little bit more about your thinking behind this and how it impacted you. I'd like that you tell us what you're going to tell us, and you tell us what you told us. But I would love to know how you are different from this. I think you say you're better prepared, but how are you better prepared? I would love to know a little bit more, and for you to reflect on the experience and answer any questions. And that's for me. That's what I'd like to hear more about that, and I would like you to reflect on that a little bit more. I encourage you to do that. I think you have a lot to offer your group, and so I think by doing that, you're also helping your learning group that you're in, helping them learn from you and all that you have done, because you have a great amount of experience and a diverse experience, um, and others can learn from you in that regard as well. I think again, great conversation. You contributed to a nice group discussion within your learning community or your small learning group. So, Andrew, thank you for doing good work, and thank you for your service. And I look forward to maybe learning a little bit more about your experience with fostering. So, overall, everybody, high five. I'm super appreciative of all that you all have done. Thank you for taking this as seriously as you're taking your life, your professional pursuits. The world needs you now more than ever. We need people like you who take things seriously about leading and creating great places of work, building teams and being a part of teams and leading teams to do important work in the world, and also to supporting people individually and being them their best selves. So again, thank you everybody for taking this course, taking this discussion board as seriously as you're taking your life. So bye for now, and I look forward to seeing great posts as we go into the next module set. Bye for now.